Yes, we got here this morning, so pretty much slept all day. But it's fun to be a part of this. We wished we were a part of it. So when we got the call to come out, it felt, like maybe he did make the team. So it's fun here to represent him and support everyone that's honoring him as well.
When did you get the call, and how did that whole process come to be?
It was just on 2 days ago, so it's just a quick decision.
Welcome back. Today's top story and complete coverage starts now. When Team USA stepped onto the ice for the gold medal game at the Olympic Games, the pressure was immense, the expectations were towering, and the weight of a nation rested squarely on their shoulders. But what the world didn't fully see in that moment was the emotional layer beneath the surface. The quiet understanding in the locker room that this game meant something more than rankings, more than medals, more than history books. Because lingering in every stretch, every pre-game ritual, every silent nod between teammates was the memory of Johnny Gaudreau, a player whose brilliance once electrified arenas and whose spirit still echoed in the hearts of those who wore the same crest. The cameras showed the roaring crowd, the waving flags, the roaring chants of USA, but they could not fully capture the stillness inside that room before puck drop, where veterans and young stars alike reflected on a teammate who had represented his country with pride and whose absence was deeply felt on the sport's grandest stage. Because for many of those players, Johnny wasn't just a former Olympian or an NHL highlight reel machine, he was a brother in the truest sense of the word, a competitor who pushed them in practice, a friend who laughed with them on long flights, a voice of calm in high-pressure moments, and as the puck finally dropped and the game exploded into a fierce, physical, high-speed battle, every shift carried with it an undercurrent of dedication that extended beyond the scoreboard. The gold medal game itself was a clash of wills, a test of endurance, strategy, and heart, and Team USA played with a ferocity that seemed fueled by something intangible, something emotional, something deeply personal, blocking shots with reckless abandon, finishing checks with conviction, back-checking with relentless intensity, and when the decisive goal was scored late in the third period, the bench erupted not just with celebration but with release, as if months, even years, of grief, remembrance, and determination had culminated in that single unforgettable moment. And when the final horn sounded and the players leapt over the boards, throwing gloves and sticks into the air, embracing in a chaotic pile of red, white, and blue, there was jubilation, yes, but there was also reflection, because in the midst of that celebration, they knew exactly what they were about to do next. As the ceremony began and the medals were prepared, several players reached for something that had been carefully placed in the locker room before the game, a jersey bearing Johnny Gaudreau's name and number, and as they skated towards center ice, lifting it high for the entire world to see, the arena's energy shifted from thunderous celebration to emotional reverence, because suddenly this wasn't just about winning gold, it was about honoring legacy, about ensuring that a player who once represented Team USA with creativity, speed, and fearless passion was symbolically present in the greatest victory of their careers. And as the national anthem played and the American flag rose above them, a few players pointed upward in a quiet, unscripted gesture that spoke louder than any speech could have, a simple acknowledgement that Johnny was part of this triumph, that his influence had not faded, that his spirit still skated alongside them. Four fans who had watched Johnny light up the NHL with the Calgary Flames, weaving through defenders with dazzling edge work and an uncanny ability to create scoring chances out of nothing, or who had followed his later chapter with the Columbus Blue Jackets, where he brought leadership and experience to a new locker room. The tribute felt profoundly fitting, because Johnny's career was defined not just by points and accolades, but by heart, by the joy he brought to the rink, by the humility he carried off it, and by the pride he felt every time he pulled a USA jersey over his shoulders. Watching the tribute unfold from afar was his widow, whose life had been forever intertwined with his both in the public eye and behind closed doors, and as cameras captured her reaction, there was a visible mix of sorrow and gratitude, tears forming as she saw teammates lifting his name into the Olympic spotlight, but also a quiet smile breaking through, the kind that comes from knowing that your loved one's legacy endures in the highest places. And in a statement shared afterward, she expressed how deeply meaningful it was to witness that moment, explaining that seeing his jersey held high during the gold medal celebration made her feel as though he was still part of the team, still skating that same Olympic ice in spirit, still sharing in the triumph. And her words resonated with fans because they revealed the human side of what is often viewed as a purely competitive arena, reminding everyone that behind every athlete's name stitched onto a sweater is a family, a story, a lifetime of memories that extend far beyond the boards. Johnny's sister also shared her reaction, speaking with a raw honesty that cut through the noise of headlines and highlight reels, reflecting on how much representing Team USA had meant to her brother, how he would talk about the honor of wearing that jersey, how he cherished the opportunity to compete not just for himself but for his country and his family. And she described the tribute as overwhelming in the most beautiful way, explaining that while the pain of loss never fully disappears, moments like this offer a sense of pride and comfort, a reminder that Johnny's impact was real, lasting, and deeply felt by those who shared the ice with him. And as social media filled with clips of the tribute, fans from across the hockey world, rivals, teammates, analysts, and casual viewers alike, expressed a unified sentiment that this was bigger than sport, bigger than rivalry, bigger than even the Olympics themselves, because it demonstrated something pure about the hockey community, a willingness to pause celebration to honor memory, a recognition that success is sweeter when it acknowledges the shoulders upon which it stands. What made the tribute particularly powerful was its authenticity, because it wasn't a league-mandated ceremony or a scripted broadcast segment. It was organic, born from a locker room that understood what Johnny had meant to them personally. And that authenticity translated through every television screen, through every smartphone clip replayed millions of times, because viewers could feel the sincerity in the way players handled the jersey, in the way their expressions shifted from exuberant smiles to reflective gazes, in the way they lingered just a second longer during the anthem, and in doing so, they transformed a standard medal ceremony into a moment of collective remembrance, a shared pause in the relentless pace of competition. For younger fans who may only know Johnny Gaudreau through highlights and statistics, this tribute served as a lesson in legacy, illustrating that greatness is not measured solely by goals or assists but by the relationships built, the respect earned, and the inspiration provided to teammates and communities. And for aspiring players watching at home, it showed that character matters just as much as talent, that the way you carry yourself in the locker room can echo just as loudly as the way you celebrate a goal, and that the bonds formed through sport can endure even beyond tragedy. In the days following the gold medal win, interviews with Team USA players revealed just how intentional the tribute had been, with several admitting that they had discussed honoring Johnny before the game even began, agreeing that regardless of the outcome, they would acknowledge him, but that doing so with a gold medal around their necks would carry a symbolism that felt especially powerful. And when asked what Johnny would have said about the moment, many smiled and said he would have deflected the attention, that he would have insisted the focus remain on the team, which in many ways made the tribute even more fitting, because it celebrated the kind of teammate he was: selfless, supportive, driven by collective success rather than personal spotlight. The impact of that Olympic tribute extended beyond the rink, sparking conversations about how teams can honor former players and how sports organizations can create space for remembrance within celebration. And it reinforced the idea that while professional athletes are often portrayed as larger-than-life figures, they are also sons, brothers, husbands, and friends whose absence leaves real and lasting voids. And in honoring Johnny Gaudreau at the pinnacle of international competition, Team USA reminded the world that sport, at its best, is a vehicle for connection, for storytelling, for preserving legacy in the most visible and meaningful ways possible. As the gold medals were draped around their necks and the team skated one final celebratory lap, the jersey with Johnny's name remained raised high, catching the arena lights, symbolizing not just remembrance but continuity, a thread linking past to present, a declaration that while players may come and go, the spirit they contribute to a team culture endures. And in that shining Olympic moment, amid confetti and flashing cameras, it was clear that this victory belonged not only to the roster listed on the official score sheet, but also to a player whose influence still shaped their journey. And for his widow, his sister, his family, and the countless fans who had cheered his every shift, the tribute offered something priceless: the assurance that Johnny Gaudreau's name will forever be woven into the fabric of American hockey history, remembered not only for his dazzling skill but for the heart he brought to the game. And as the world replayed that emotional scene again and again, one truth stood above all: this gold medal was more than a championship. It was a promise that legends are never truly gone as long as their teammates, their families, and their fans continue to carry them forward. And on that unforgettable Olympic night, Team USA did exactly that, turning victory into remembrance and celebration into legacy in a way that will be remembered long after the final horn has faded.